everybody. Merry Christmas in July. It's very exciting. And to celebrate this very festive month, we thought it would be fun to talk about our favorite Christmas movies on any network since we started the podcast back in 2017. And this is going to be a two-parter because how could you only do one episode? It's going to be two-parter, so it's going to be really fun. And I'm film critic Grace Wagner. Terry's here.
Hi.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too. Getting our groove on early.
Yeah, that's right. So what was this like for you making this list? Was it challenging?
It was challenging because it's a very imperfect list on my end. I was like, I'm going to take what I enjoyed, and they're not all winners, but what I really liked. But it was hard because I ended up cutting a few that I really loved, and I thought, they don't belong on the list, even though I love it so much. And a couple of choices I made kind of surprised me, and I was like, no, yeah, they belong on the list. They're enjoyable. People need to watch them. So
yeah, it is surprising. And you know what's interesting is that I found this list was a lot harder to come up with than we did the best rom-coms recently. Right. And that was like pretty easy. It was like boom.
Surprisingly easy, yeah.
Yeah, and this one because I think there are for these Christmas movies a lot that kind of blend together and that are like equally fun. And so deciding, okay, which ones are the best, where I think in films in general, it's more like clear that something like Bringing Up Baby is going to be on the list, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I just went with the ones that I enjoyed the most, not as far as how well they're made or any other factors, just the ones. And sometimes like the experience with the podcast does come into play a little bit, because that also was just part of my experience. So, but let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So what's the first one you want to talk about?
I have The Christmas House, and I'll throw in like The Christmas House too, because they're almost like a combined thing. But I found The Christmas House so enjoyable and bonkers and funny. And I just love Treat Williams in this movie. He's so great. I kind of wanted them to do like a trilogy, but now I don't want to because I don't want to like have anybody sad and mourning over the loss of a parent. I just want these movies to like live as happily as they are in my memory. But it's like the son is an actor and he goes home for Christmas and his parents are like, we're retiring. We're going to sell this house. And so the kids want to do their big Christmas house, which is like filled of, they decorate their house and people come in and see it. And so the parents are like, you brothers are responsible for it. And the brothers put it together. And in the sequel, the brothers are competing for Best Christmas House for a reality show. But it's such a lovely picture of a family together, like parents and the sons, and a really good representation of an LGBTQ plus relationship and their children. It's all positive all the way around. And it's like a blended family, and then one of the brothers falls in love again, and he's got a stepson, and it's crazy. They do magic. He's a magician. I think the funniest thing too is in the sequel when they end it. He plays a lawyer on his TV show, and it's Justice something, and he has his father.
Oh yeah,
cameo. Remember how that ended in the second one as the juror? It's so funny when they show
True
the
Justice or something like that.
When they show the TV show, and it's just so outrageous and over the top, and they just clearly everyone's having the time of their life in this movie. But it's a sweet family movie around the holidays, and very much a blended family, which is great to see. It's all positive.
Yeah. That one's really fun. Yeah. My first one I'm talking about is actually The Christmas Setup. This was memorable on the podcast because I got to interview Fran Drescher for it, who I, of course, love and adore. So that was really cool to get to interview her for the first time. And I love her as the mom in this. She's just so warm and lovely, and I really love how she treats all of her children the same.
Yeah.
The straight and the gay sons are loved equally, and it's just so nice. And the romance is, second chance romance is
totally
real sweet between these guys. And And I liked his best friend, and then her relationship with the brother. It's very sweet, and
Yeah.
this movie is just warm and comforting, and uh, I think a delight.
This came
The
out the same year the Christmas House came out, right?
it was 2020,
Yes.
2020. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I think because I remember it was because the Christmas House had yeah, they were both unique for the time because of the leads of the LGBTQ,
yeah.
the queer love story.
Uh-huh.
Um I was
And
trying to figure out properly how to say it without sounding obtuse.
yeah,
You know,
I really liked also the backstory of the station manager
right, yeah.
that we learned about as they went
Yeah.
along, and this was just
It's a
very comforting and sweet.
totally, and it was a big movie at the time because I think it might have they was a lead in Lifetime, and that was the first time a gay couple was the lead
Yeah.
in a Lifetime movie.
Hmm.
That's what I'm,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Well, what do you have next?
I have Next Stop Christmas because I like time travel, and this movie
Hmm.
was bonkers enough. I don't understand how the time traveling happened, but they had a lot of winks in it, and Christopher Lloyd is the crazy, not crazy, he's eccentric, train
Yeah.
guy, and she's got like almost a great life, it appears to be. She's a doctor. She's very busy. She doesn't go home much. She sees her man she could have married, the weatherman or the sports guy on the news. And she's like, I knew him when he was a weatherman. And she travels back in time because she thinks she can fix everything and make her life better. But in turn, she realizes that she missed a lot of signs from her family, what her family was struggling with, just being a little selfish and only thinking about herself. So she gets, a chance. And Leah Thompson plays her mom. So it's kind of like a Back to the Future
Yeah. I wish
kind
they'd
of,
been together,
yeah, kind of like a connection there with time
Hmm.
travel and stuff.
That
But
is fun.
yes, and the great Erica Slezak is in this movie. She's a soap queen and a goddess. And that's why this is on this list too,
Yeah.
because when I saw her, I screamed. And everybody's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay." And so but I
Yeah.
think it's delightful in a time traveling sort of way, and I think that Lindsay Fonseca is really fun in this movie.
Yeah, you have to treat it kind of like Doctor Who, in the sense of, like, in Doctor
Yes.
Who, there's never any
Yeah.
like ripple effect from the time travel. The thing's
No, no.
almost none. It has to be kind of self-contained, and I enjoyed it too.
Well,
And
because when they meet up at the end, kind of spoilery, they don't remember anything that happened,
yeah.
which is fun too. But you're right.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, it's like an extended Doctor Who episode.
Yeah. Well, my next one is actually Merry Xmas is my next one. I really loved this. I loved the whole concept of he's kind of this lonely guy. He ends up in the family text chain, and he ends up going on this trip with them, which, yeah, I mean, it's a stretch, I guess. But I don't know. I just really like the idea of this kind of lonely guy getting enveloped in this family. And that's what he really kind of fell in love with. It was almost more the family than even her, but they had a really nice connection, and I thought they did a really good job of kind of introducing us to lots of different traditions that we don't typically see in a Christmas movie. We got to see like the smashing of the plates and then making the radish statues, and you could tell it was really filmed in Oaxaca in Mexico. They had like the street parades and all of that was just really fun, and I thought they had really nice chemistry when they're dancing together. That was really good. You get to hear him sing. Rodrigo Massa was just unbelievable. I still can't believe he did a patron watch along with us.
I
What?
have yet to see this movie. It's on my list. I'm hoping
Oh, really?
to
Yeah,
get it
I
in the
mean,
Christmas in July, my catch up. I just missed this one.
it does have a couple stretches of really bad ADR. And so a lot of people were kind of bothered by that, which is bummer. I wish they had, not done that, but it wasn't enough to ruin it for me.
Yeah.
And I do really appreciate this movie's bilingual. So like when she's talking to her family in Mexico, she's speaking Spanish as you would, like, you know,
Yes,
and
you would, yeah.
subtitles and everything. And then when he's there, then they're speaking English. And it was just effortlessly that way. And I really appreciated that. And there's just a lot of really cute scenes and
that's when you know it's a movie, when they take the effort to speak English in front of your English friends, because that don't happen in my family. They come over and they'll start a full-blown conversation and they're like, what did she say? Just go with it. Just nod your head. It'll be fine. You don't realize you're doing it. You be
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's just when you go to that extra, that's why maybe the ADR is kind of a bummer, because it's like they went to so much effort to make such a good movie.
Yeah, it's nice.
Why did they do that? But oh well. It has so many cute scenes. The premise is really cute, and I really enjoyed it. So and getting to, I mean, I enjoyed it so much that I immediately, contacted the folks at Lifetime. I was like, I want to talk to both of them. And so to get to interview them both, that was a really fun interview on the pod. And you could tell they really appreciated the fact that we were celebrating what they did. And that always feels good too, because they don't get enough credit. And we gave Rodrigo Hot Nerd award, which was competitive that year.
I remember, yes.
But he's great, and like I said, I can't believe that he did a patron watch along. And we forgot to mention that there's a bonus episode of this episode for the patrons. If you want to hear 3 more of our picks, you can do that, and you can be part of watch alongs if you're a patron member, and you get to hear from people like Rodrigo Massa, like unbelievable. So check that out. But what do you have next?
I have Twinkle All the Way, another Lifetime movie.
I have
this one
that
has
coming up.
Sarah Drew and Ryan McPartlin.
Love it so much.
And Leslie Ann Warren, right, plays his mom. Oh, this one's adorable. I love Sarah Drew in it. She's so adorable in this movie, and it basically
so good.
So cute with each other. They're just adorable. And they're like single parents, and they got to force to work together on the school play for the kids, right? And he's he decorates for the holidays, and she's putting on a wedding, and they end up helping each other, and it's just so sweet. And they are just these beautiful people with beautiful chemistry. Just get lost in their eyes, because
I love it so much. I completely agree. Adorable. And that they pull off the wedding, because the bride is not a bridezilla at all. She's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this instead, no problem. And then when they give her view,
it's so
and then the whole thing with the bells.
I have got to rewatch this movie. It has been a while. I've got to rewatch it. It's just so adorable.
It's so good. And the 2 little girls and their hot cocoa party, and
it's so sweet. And there's not really a lot of drama in it, and they work through all their problems, and nobody's annoying.
All the drama is just in the wedding is getting snowed in.
The snowed in.
But I think they're like, let's do it. Let's make this great. And there's never a sense of like diva-ishness. I don't know. On the part of the bride,
which
it just makes
nice.
Thing like this nice wonderful community event that everybody's so happy and they're in love, and it's great. I love it too.
Yeah,
I love it too. We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
So for me is another one from 2020. It's one I gave a very high score to at the time. I still do love it. It's Delivered by Christmas, and
Yeah, I have.
yeah, I do have to say that when I rewatched this outside of the pandemic, it wasn't quite as good as it was that year.
This is why I haven't rewatched it, Rachel. I'm afraid. Yeah. I have this on my list as well, upper, like a little higher, but
I still liked it. It was just a little bit more by the numbers when I watched it outside
of. It's when you look at it now, it is a very made during the pandemic type of movie. But
but they're communicating via text, and
she doesn't know she's talking to the same person.
Yeah,
she's like a goddess in this movie too, Alvina August. Like,
so
she's
good.
Like, when I watched this, when I saw it, I was like, she's a goddess. Just look at her,
And when he sees her in the shop, he's like looking like, whoa. Like, he's so
I would too. I stopped in my tracks too, and I was like, look at I was mesmerized, Rachel. I was like, look at this goddess. Like, I do, I drop everything for you too.
And he had that like quarantine scruff on too.
Oh yeah, totally. He looked really good too.
He did too.
They both looked. I was like, look at these beautiful people. But
and the little boy, adorable.
Oh, and her sister getting up all in their business. Because the whole thing is like, because she's got a thing with him, single dad, moving back home. And his family just keeps trying to like, you should date. Yeah. And it's like, no. And they've got a thing. And then she's doing this order. She doesn't realize the man she's talking to on the phone is him as well.
Uh-huh.
And then when she thinks he's dating another woman and they're spying on him, her and his sister spying on him behind the bushes, like, it's adorable.
Yeah, it's really good. And I love at the end how they're basically like socially distanced from each other.
Oh yes, that is declaring their love. Funny, like they're not even close to each other, and you're like, I will forgive this because they really delivered a very charming movie in tough circumstances. Yeah. But it was very sweet. But yes, they're never really
because of that,
Yeah, it's true though, Rachel. They never really do stand close next to each other.
So, what do you have next?
I have this movie aired on Comedy Central, and this is Christmas adjacent because it's mostly. It starts off with they are celebrating Diwali, and it's called Hot Mess Holiday.
Oh, and so these are,
this is actually a fun movie. The shenanigans that go on. They are two friends, and they are at they're celebrating Diwali, and forgive me if I mispronounce that. And she gets dumped by her fiance in front of everybody. She is absolutely miserable. She's very by the books. She has to do this, and her best friend is not. She's more like careless and everything. But her best friend's like, let's go to this Christmas party and have some fun. And they go to a Christmas party. They get super drunk. They wake up in the morning. They don't remember nothing. And they're like, hey, we got these, because another friend of theirs has thrown it in the, has given them all these gift bags. And so let's see what these stupid gift bags. And there's a diamond. And they're like, how did we get a diamond? They get kidnapped by drug dealers because they switched the bags and they run away. And they're like, no, we'll find it because apparently they switched. Oh my gosh, Rachel. They switched the bags and they go on these shenanigans trying to find them and their other friends trying to find this diamond so they don't get killed. And their one friend is like, hold up, I can't run fast anymore since I had like a new stomach put in. It's like hysterical. They go into this house and it's like hippies, right? And they're like, look at these hippie dippies. And they're like, yeah, we gave that crystal away. And it's so funny because she goes, can I use your restroom? And she walks into the wrong room. Rachel, it's a sweatshop. And it is so hysterical, that reveal. And she's like, what did we just come into? And she's like, we got to save these people. And her friend's like, no, we got to get out of here. I mean, it's so hysterical. Just, it's one ridiculous thing after another. And Cal Penn is sort of in this movie as well. He's the cab driver, but he's got this little, like, stupid little cab. And they're like, go fast. And he's like, I can't, because it's like one of them bicycle cabs. And he's like a cameo. He's actually playing his real life self. And they're like, hey, are you Cal Pell? And he's like, yeah, whatever. And they keep making fun of him.
Oh wow, I haven't seen this one, so I
Yeah, and
definitely have to check
it's
it
fun.
out.
It's got yeah, it's fun. It's totally
Cool.
fun. It's a quasi Christmas because they're not really celebrating Christmas,
But there,
because
yeah.
they wouldn't. They're not, but the entire movie, the background, of course, is like there's Christmas trees, wreaths, music is playing all around. They're in the Christmas season. So, they're running around, they're chasing Santas, it's just ridiculous. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
from 2021. It's not that old. So, and I know it gave on Comedy Central, and that was kind of the year that they were giving some they were doing Christmas movies. So
next up for me is actually 8-Bit Christmas. This was on Max, I think, HBO Max. Really sweet movie about this kid. All he wants is a Nintendo for Christmas, and his sister wants a Cabbage Patch doll, and all the different shenanigans that they go through to get his dream Christmas present. And it's definitely, of course, an homage to Christmas Story. But I didn't mind that. I mean, I thought that was, fun, and it was like they knew that's what they were doing, and so it wasn't a problem to me. And I really like the Winslow Fegley that is the kid. He was Timmy Failure, which was I absolutely love and adore that movie. It's nice having Neil Patrick Harris as the narrator. It just captures childhood, and it has that nostalgic feel for the 80s that, Chris is someone who was a child of the 80s, very appealing. It's an enjoyable new family film for Christmas. We don't get enough of those because it's mostly the rom-coms and other things. So
I have not seen this one. This is one I haven't seen,
it's cute.
but I can relate because I wanted a Nintendo as well for Christmas, which I eventually got. Eventually, like so, it took a couple of years.
Yeah, it was my brother.
But
I really wanted an American Girl doll, and I did end up getting one, but that was
I never had
dream.
Those type of dolls, like American Girl dolls, growing up. I didn't even know they existed. And that might be because
I wanted the Samantha doll, of course, and that's what I ended up getting.
Well, later on, it's either Samantha or Abby for me. Like later, like when I discovered them. But yeah, I think it's also culturally the way I grew up. I had no idea that the American dolls existed.
Yeah.
Like I would have had a Portuguese
I think
doll.
We all had that gift though that we really wanted for Christmas, and that's what makes Christmas Story work.
Totally.
Is we can relate to that. I think that I know a lot of people think Christmas Story is overrated. Teach their own, but for me, I think it really captures childhood better than almost any film. And
I agree.
The whimsy, the imagination, how we feel about our parents, all those things, how we feel about our teachers, our friends, the bully scene I absolutely love. So all those things I love about Christmas Story. And this is it's not a classic like on that level, but it was very pleasant and enjoyable. So
on a completely separate topic, because I'm afraid to watch the sequel, is it worth a watch to the Christmas Story?
You know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. It's watchable. It's enjoyable.
Okay.
For that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I was so afraid that I didn't watch it.
It's certainly better than the actual theatrical sequels that they did of Christmas Story.
No, I haven't touched those either. I was like, no,
and I felt so bad. We did an episode of we did an episode of Christmas Story movies with Aaron, and I didn't realize that he thought that he was supposed to watch Christmas Story 2, Christmas Story.
No, Rachel, why'd you do that? Oh no.
And I was like, oh, sorry. I watched that horrible movie.
Oh no, he hunted them all down.
It was a fun episode. If y'all haven't listened to it, you should. It's good. But anyway, what do you have next?
I have a Mrs. Miracle Christmas.
I love Breyer.
Yeah. I just love the Mrs. Miracle like stories and the movies, and I kind of wish they would do another one. I know that there's there's not any more books for them to adapt, but you could make up your own story for this.
Yeah, but I mean, Debbie McComber's still with us, so
Oh yes, she is. I mean,
could-
yeah. Just ask me. You got
Why
any
not?
ideas for another one? We'll just do a straight, movie, because I know that they've adapted all of the books with Mrs. Miracle in it. But I think Caroline Ray is so good in it, and she's taking over this role. And Caitlin Doubleday and Steve Lund, and it's just, I don't know. If you want a sentimental, heartwarming Christmas movie, this movie's it, because it deals with infertility and adoption and foster care, but also they're rebuilding, they're connecting again for this marriage. I mean, it's what you want from a sentimental sort of type of Christmas movie that has an angel helping you out, and also the connection that Mrs. Miracle had with her own daughter that you find out at the end. And it was so sweet. And I wish that they would, that good. Caroline Ray would come back and do another one of these. I was like, come on, Hallmark, just you make up everything. They make up everything else. They could make up an extra story for this.
Absolutely.
You have a good relationship with.
They don't even go that much off the books anyway, even when they are based on a book. So they can
exactly. So you have a good relationship. You've made many of her films. Into movies. Like, come back and do another one.
I agree. My number 20 is See You Next Christmas. And I, as a critic, get all of these emails for please check out my indie film, please. And most of the time I just don't have time. And most of the time they're kind of terrible. A lot of those, real low budget, micro budget films. But then I saw this came across, and in 2021, this came in my emails, and I was like, that sounds like my cup of tea, holiday rom-com. It sounds cute. So I watched it and I really liked it. And it was just a fun movie for me because it was one I felt like I really was able to champion. And I got to interview Christine Weatherup, the director, and she also acts in it. We talked about it quite a bit. We did an episode on friendship on it. And I just, that's kind of fun, because so often as a critic, you're criticizing, right? And so when you get a chance to champion something that a lot of people wouldn't have seen otherwise and be able to say, like, check this out, you'll like it. Christine did a patron watch along with us on it. And so that was really cool to get the behind the scenes. It's a cute little movie about this woman who goes to her cousin's Christmas party every year, and the movie sort of follows her. She meets Cutes the Sky the first year, and then like various obstacles come in the way of them actually getting together. And the various characters that show up for the party year after year are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I like this couple. They have nice chemistry between Elizabeth Guest and AJ Meyer. And I like Christine Weatherup and Vin Vesco as the cousin and her husband. They're really fun. It's just a sweet holiday film.
It totally is. This was a hard cut for me because I really enjoyed this one. This one surprised me a lot, and I love too the evolution. Like, they sort of grow up as we see every Christmas year. When the cousin, like, they have a baby and they buy their own house. It's really delightful. I would say check this one out too if you haven't seen it, because it's fun. And they did a lot. I mean, it looks really good for like a an independent, like a lower budget movie. They did a lot with it.
I like her friend that's like obsessive about the cookies and stuff.
Oh my gosh,
it's funny.
And when he invites his work friends over and he's trying to impress his work friends, and his other friends are like, ugh,
They've got that shocker game.
Oh yeah, and they're like, wait, how do we play this?
Yeah, I think it's on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken.
That's where I watched it on.
Yeah, so people should check it out. What do you have next?
So my 19 is Santa's Got Style.
I actually have Santa's Got Style at 19 too.
Right, because ridiculous. This movie is ridiculous. And I noticed I didn't have really a lot of stuff. I think this might be my only Up TV movie on my list. But this one just stayed with me because it's so ridiculous. And this hot man is forever in the friend zone. What's going on here? and he was a former model, and now he runs a modeling agency. And this lady works, and his friend works at a mall store, and she needs to get a Santa. And he puts on a beard and pretends to be like sexy Santa for this campaign.
She doesn't recognize
and she
her best
doesn't
friend.
recognize him. And the shenanigans he goes through to hide this double life, because he's like, I can't lie to her. He's got 2 phones. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then he gets his mom in on it, and in on the whole thing, because they're pretending they're cousins.
It works almost more because it leans so much into the screwball antics.
Totally.
It really feels like something from the 1950s that like a Barbara Stanwyck or Doris Day,
Oh, absolutely.
would have been in. And I think that's why it works. It works because it is so silly.
Of the security guard is so over the top, trying to take fingerprints to figure this whole thing out. He is so over the top. But why is this man is hot, period. But why does he look like, I was like, he's hotter as Santa, dressed up as Santa. I couldn't believe it, Rachel. I was like, woo, with that fake beard.
And speaking of Santa's Got Style, which we both have a 19, if you're a fan of this movie, you should join the Patreon, because this month we are having our patron watch along is with Catherine Davis, and we're watching Santa's Got Style. So, I mean, it's going to be really fun to hear all the behind the scenes of all this crazy shenanigans of this movie, and any level of the patron can join in on the watch along. So it's, if you like this movie, you definitely should join. It's really fun.
It's really fun.
It
does harken back to the old kind of classic screwballs.
Yeah.
And the modeling show at the end, when he has to go back and do the 2 roles. And he's like, wait a minute, were you here before? And he's hiding.
And Brian Sills was such a great interview.
Man.
He should be in all the movies. And he's so good.
This is a mall security cop. He is going above and beyond.
So good. And it was so cute because, we do our Christmas questions at the end for a holiday interview and ask, what's your favorite cookie? And he was like talking about his mom's shortbread recipe. And then the next day when it aired, the next day we get this email from Brian Sills' mom giving us her recipe for the shortbread cookie. So cute.
So sweet.
My son, I was so proud of him on the podcast.
I just couldn't believe this lady did not realize her lifelong friend, who's been in love with her forever, it's like, oh, you have a cousin I never heard of?
Yeah.
And how she's digging like sexy Santa more than him. And he's like, what's going on? How do you not know?
Yeah. But like,
Rachel, all you need to do to trick people, apparently, put on some glasses or a bad wig.
But he wasn't afraid to make the moves as sexy Santa.
No, he wasn't. He was so confident. Yeah.
She liked him better.
I can't believe it. A good-looking man like that was so afraid to well, there's a lot at stake too, because they have been friends for so long.
Yeah.
But it's like.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Harlequin Publishing and best-selling author Rayanne Thane and her new book, 15 Summers Later. 15 summers ago, everything changed. Ava Howe had it all: true love, a best-selling memoir, and a life far away from Emerald Creek. But a hidden secret from her past shattered her perfect world. Now she's back home, facing the only person who truly understands. Madison Howell has built a life she loves, running a no-kill animal shelter and secretly pining for the town veterinarian, Dr. Luke Gentry. But a secret haunts them both. The Howell sisters must confront their past to heal their future. Can they mend the rifts in their lives and find solace together? Experience the power of resilience, family, and love in 15 Summers Later by Rayanne Thane. The perfect beach read for anyone needing a story of hope and healing. Now available wherever books are sold or by using the affiliate link below. That's 15 Summers Later by Rayanne Thane. We know you'll love it. Well, my number 18, because 19 is Santa's Got Style, my number 18 is an unusual one. It's not a Hallmark movie, that's for sure. It's Anna and the Apocalypse is my number 18. This was just so refreshing and new and different. Your zombie apocalypse Christmas musical. And these songs are super catchy, and it genuinely surprised me, like some of the people that were turned, like I didn't see coming, and when they're turned, I didn't see coming, and it is bloody. I mean, it's not going to be for everyone, but I didn't think it was. That was all pretty tame, as far as horror, and most of all the kills are all zombies, so it's not as like.
Well, I've never seen this movie. I didn't know it was a Christmas movie either. I didn't. I
It
knew that it was
is,
about
yeah.
zombies, but that it was set in the.
Yes, and she fights off the zombies with a Christmas cane. Christmas cane poker thing. Anyway, and yeah, it's I just found it fresh and exciting, and I think it's underrated, and I'm really surprised. It just seems like the kind of movie that would get more of a cult following. And it hasn't really, I don't think, and I'm kind of surprised because just Christmas and the songs are so catchy, and just the way it's like an indie, kind of indie film. I'm a little surprised that it hasn't kind of gotten there yet, but I don't think it has. But I really did enjoy it. So I think if you're open to some horror, to a zombie movie, then and a musical, watch something different, guys.
Yeah, have fun with it. Yeah, we need more variety in these holiday movies too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you have at 18?
I have Shaun the Sheep, The Flight Before Christmas.
Aww, that one is
This
cute.
is adorable.
Yeah.
And like, man, these sheep ruined that kid's house though. And it's also like his parents are influences. But of course, little sheep gets stuck in a Christmas present and it gets like taken away because of the shenanigans that, that farm owner does. And of course, that poor dog that, the sheep dog has to go save all these sheep and they got to break him out. Also warming because the parents are social influencers and they don't spend enough time with their kids, their child, and he's like, and he thinks the sheep is a stuffed toy, and then they break out and they ruin this guy's house, man. It's so like I just like my sister and I we saw this together. We were howling, and we were trying to get the kids to watch it, but they like walked out. They were like, no, we were rolling on the floor over the shenanigans.
There is no character that's cuter than Shaun.
Oh my gosh, no.
If y'all haven't seen all of the Shaun the Sheep movies, they are great.
Adorable.
I mean, and I think that's why the Chicken Run sequel was kind of disappointing last year.
I've yet to see that one. Yeah, I'm almost afraid to.
It's just a repeat of the first movie.
Oh,
it makes that sequel mistake. Yeah, it's just instead of breaking out, they're breaking in, and
yeah.
You even have Mama Tweety coming back, and it was watchable but disappointing. I think partly because Farmageddon, the sequel to Shaun the Sheep, was so good. And maybe even you could make an argument that's even better than the first. I don't know if I'd go there, but it's close. And so you're just you always expect greatness from Aardman.
Yeah.
Always.
And I love Shaun the Sheep too, because when the kids were little, we used to watch the show together with them. So I have like a special affinity for these guys. But that farmer dude, when we went to his dog's house to build the Christmas stand, that's another thing too. He gets in trouble at the Christmas fair.
Yeah.
But the way they wrecked this kid's house though.
So funny. I love that farmer when he becomes the hairstylist. First one. Good choice. I've forgotten about that, but yeah, that one is good. My number 17 is one from last year. It's Xmas. I really liked this whole premise, the idea of so he tells his family, I'm absolutely not coming. I won't be there. And then they run into his ex, who he was engaged to. She doesn't have anywhere for Christmas. And they're like, well, why don't you come with us? Because they know he's not going to be there. And I totally picture my family doing that to like an ex that they'd gotten close to. Because, they dated for a long time. They were engaged. I could totally picture my parents being like, why don't you come over? Or they're so-and-so's not
a little weird, but I can see it. Yeah.
I could totally picture my parents doing that. And then of course he ends up coming as a surprise, and he's like, and then she's there. And so then it starts the screwball antics between the two of them. And so I really thought that it leaned into the comedy. It was genuinely funny. There's a whole scene where they eat pot brownies, which is really funny. And our friend Donna Benedicto, she's really good as a sort of other woman. And
It's another movie I haven't seen. I've got to
I
catch
really
up.
enjoyed it. I thought it was genuinely funny. I thought they had nice chemistry, and I know some people were like, "Oh, that premise is ridiculous." Yeah, it is ridiculous, but sometimes
Yeah,
in life
but-
we do ridiculous things. Like sometimes
I mean,
I could picture I could
we got to
picture
make a
my
movie
family
over
doing that.
here. Yeah, we got to make a movie here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're making a comedy.
You're not making a comedy. You're not making a movie of like after Christmas when you're paying your bills and you're like, oh no, I don't have money for this, and your credit card bills, you know? No.
Right. So that's my 17. What's your 17?
So my 17 is a movie that I completely blanked on when we did the European travel movies on Hallmark. So I wanted to remember to put it in it because I love this movie. It's My Norwegian Holiday. And this one's from last year. I mean, I love Rihanna Fish. She's so great here. I mean, it's a little stalkery at first, like this random dude come to Norway with me. And she's like, sure, I want to find out where my grandma's troll came from. And you're like, well, what's this with this troll? But just the slow burn and how they become friends and then eventually have a relationship and the family aspect is just so good. And the way they end up supporting each other. And you see Norway and like it's interesting because you see different things like you wouldn't normally see in one of these movies, like where you're traveling abroad. You're gonna hit all the like for visually they're hitting all the important places, but no, here it's like we're on a train and we're doing this, and I really like that. It's unique and it's a little weird. I wish they would have done more with the trolls, but it's still fun. Oh, the troll forest.
Yeah,
And it's a lot of
really
fun.
cute.
Yeah, it's really cute, and I think they had good chemistry.
And
And
she won our Hallmark queen.
rightfully
for
so,
that
I
movie, you know.
think.
She's
Yeah.
really good in it. My number 16 is Where I Have Twinkle All the Way.
Yeah.
So I love it so much. I love him and his brother Brian Sills, again, just crushing it in that one as well. The relationship between the two. I love the hot cocoa party. I love the little girls are just so cute, and the wedding is just perfect, and the view and the bells, and I love it so
I know.
much.
It's adorable.
Yeah. So what do you have at 16?
I have Let It Snow from Netflix. I think it's based on a book. I really enjoyed this one. I'm surprised because now I'm old and I don't know if I can relate to these high school kids going to college. It's just a different time frame. But I just found like it's a whole bunch of group of kids. They're stuck during a snowstorm in their small town, and they're either, they're going to college and they're facing the next step of adulthood and reconnecting. And then there's even this pop star that comes in and meets another, one of these kids, and they have their own connection. And the two kids who work at the fast food joint trying to throw a party. And it's just like it's like a shenanigans during the day, like a regular day, but there's stuff going on. And I don't know, I really liked it. I liked the cast. I thought it's a really good, I wouldn't have, it's a quasi coming of age story, but it's like, yeah, I'm going into the next stage of life, let's have a really good time here before I leave this town and not come back for like a long time, and some people who aren't leaving the town. And so I liked it.
Yeah, I remember that one. My next one is actually from last year as well. It's Rescuing Christmas.
And I have that a little higher.
Oh, cool.
Higher.
I love this movie. It was so clever. The things that they had to come up with that were Christmas without having Christmas was so smart.
So smart.
And those fall ornaments that using celebrate as a Christmas carol was like really smart. I don't know, I just loved that aspect of it. And I also just loved the elves and them getting like increasingly more manic. And the more that they see, like, why can't you figure this out? Like, so funny.
I know. It's so, and this movie, I'm glad that Hallmark is airing it on the network proper, because I don't think a lot of people discovered this one because it was straight to the streaming service last year. But I just love how Rachel Lee Cook she's going through it.
Yeah.
She makes that Christmas wish in a moment of anger because somebody ate her Christmas cookies, and her ex is like, being successful at photography, and she's like, I have had enough. And when she discovers what she did the following day, she It's like, oh no, I've got to fix this.
Yeah.
And trying to convince
I
everybody.
said this in our Christmas in July preview.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me nervous about them airing it on Hallmark is they will have to cut 20 minutes of this movie in order to air it.
My worry is they'll cut a lot of the North Pole stuff.
Yeah, that's my worry
Like
too.
with
And
the-
they were so
oh,
funny.
Because Santa has to go try to fix all this, because the two elves were trying to do good by giving Grumpy a holiday wish and it backfired on them. But that whole scene where the lawyer comes in going, these are the technicalities, that's going to get cut. Because
I know, I'm worried that
Yeah.
that the elves will be, I mean, what do you cut? I mean, how do you cut?
I don't know.
Because this thing is 100 minutes and it has to be 80 minutes for Hallmark. So how do you cut 20
Well,
minutes
I
out of
mean,
this
I
thing?
hope they don't cut it because they're playing the extended version of Three Wise Men, right? And I think that's only 15 extra minutes, to be honest. I watched that last year. I couldn't tell what was new or what was extended. I really
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I did because they did the same thing with the Holiday Spectacular.
Mhm.
I honestly immediately knew what they added or they extended upon the scenes for that movie, but I couldn't tell. With it was
They're
almost
adding
the same.
15 minutes. I didn't realize it was that
I
long.
looked
I
at
thought it
the
was
time.
just-
Yeah, I looked at the time for. I was look at me getting out the calculator, and I was like, it's only 15 extra minutes, and I couldn't tell the difference.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope so. Maybe they'll make it like
Yeah, I
they'll
hope
make
not,
it go into
because-
an extra half hour with ads and everything.
Yeah,
That's what you'd have to
because
do.
I
for
just
that.
hope so, because they're also playing that Ice Palace one from last year, and they have to make it up to the audience by playing that one. They
True.
have to say, we're sorry, but we're trying to get more people to watch this movie because that movie was terrible.
It was really
And
bad.
so they need to, because I'm afraid they're going to cut all that North Pole stuff, like the stuff with the lawyer, the emergency when
it's so
it's so
sad.
funny when the North Pole goes into panic mode. I feel
it's
like
just-
that's all going to be on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, it was just so funny, and I just thought so clever
So
of
clever.
all that they were able to
Because
think
she
of.
doesn't, and I liked it because she doesn't really mean it. It's just an act of
Yeah.
of
She's-
annoyance. I mean, I would have done the same thing. That man ate her cookies that she was looking forward to the whole entire day. I would have done the
Yeah.
same thing.
So, and it was just fun for the podcast as well because we got to interview
Yeah.
Rachel and Bailey, who plays one of the elves, and then
It's
writer Sarah
adorable. Oh,
Montana,
man.
who I love.
I live in
And-
fear of that they're going to cut all that stuff.
I
Watch it on the
know.
streaming
I know.
service. Just
I
watch
know.
it on the streaming service.
Yeah. So that is 15. What do you have at 15?
I have Cranberry Christmas.
Oh, okay.
I really like this one too because I think Nikki DeLoach and Benjamin Aries have great chemistry together. And I first of all, that farm looked beautiful. The cranberries looked beautiful. And they sort of have a business together and they are separated. And I kind of liked it because we rarely get Christmas movies with people who are married. It's usually people falling in love. And in essence, they're kind of finding each other again and re-falling in love, but they have to fake that they're all happy because there's a news crew or a reality show or something filming their festival that they have, and it's good for their business and it's good for the town. And I just loved it that they found themselves back together. And this movie looks spectacular for being made during the COVID time, the COVID era of filming, because it doesn't feel all that empty.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, I appreciate it, but I'm ready now for Nikki to get non-marriage and crisis movies. It's like this one was so
she
good.
has been putting that to. I would just
So
exactly.
We've gotten like 5 more minutes. The Gift of Peace, World Record Christmas. Like they're
Oh
all
yes,
serious. They're
yeah.
all,
Okay, guys, let's put that down.
Yeah,
Now I know this was refreshing at the time, but
Yes.
I would like to see a Christmas movie with a married couple not having any problems as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of the World Record Christmas was kind of that way.
Right.
They weren't, but it was more about the kid. But yeah, I mean, what's wrong with having a love story about, I mean, you have to have some conflict, but not like it's not marriage. It doesn't have to be marriage in crisis. Like it could be, it could be we're putting on this play together or it could be anything.
Hallmark has one from many years ago. I can't remember the name of it, where they're married and he gets fired and he doesn't tell his wife and she's waiting to tell him that she's pregnant at the right moment. But then their family comes over and it's like guests from hell,
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that movie.
I think we talked about it for
I think we did. And I
For
can't
Classic
remember who's in it
Christmas.
either now.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Oh,
Well,
well.
my number 14 is where I have Spirited.
Rachel, bless you.
You hate it. You hate
I
it.
did not like this movie. No.
Okay.
I hate Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't. That's strong. I don't know him personally. I just because that's so strong to say you hate the man. I just don't like his acting style because he's the same and everything.
That's fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
So this one, I mean, I liked the whole idea of the behind the scenes of the ghosts. It's so random that we got 2 of those.
Yes.
I think the songs are super catchy. I really like the musical numbers. I think that the plot does get overly convoluted, but I think that Ryan Reynolds, I mean, this is kind of his lane of playing, kind of he's the bad guy that they're going to try to Scrooge, but then it ends up being flipped around. I think he plays that role well. I
love Will Ferrell in this movie.
I think that manic energy.
Good. Yeah.
And but I mean, I am the world's biggest sucker for musicals. So if you make a musical, people are singing and dancing, I'm probably gonna like it.
There are moments of this movie that are okay, and then there are moments I was like, I can't. I live in fear for the moment that I have to, because my nephew is like, we see a Deadpool, right? And I was like, oh no. Oh no, I'm living in fear for that moment. I was like, of course I will take you, but because I'm the cool aunt,
I'm not that big fan of like the meta humor. That whole thing
I think
not for me. But I think for him playing sort of the smug villain, I liked it in this, and their sort of friendship and how that does grow, and I thought the ending worked, I mean, I like musicals that nobody likes. Like I liked Dear Evan Hansen, so
I believe I am in the Rachel, really? Because I heard some. I am in the minority when it comes to Spirited. I think mostly everyone enjoyed it, and I liked a lot of it. I liked how Will Ferrell was Scrooge, and his whole redemption thing by being this guy, and him when he falls in love and he doesn't know what's going on.
Like Octavia Spencer, that was such a fun plot.
And she's like, "What's wrong with you, man?" Because it's all tongue tied between her, and it's got that nice sentimentality at the end too, kind of like you figure that's where it's heading to. But man, like I could just anybody else but Ryan Reynolds. For me, he gives the same performance, just smug, and but I'm in the minority here, so I get it. It is also nice to have a Christmas musical. That is true.
And we got to interview the costume designer for it, which was really cool to get the behind the scenes of like a pretty big movie, and to talk about making the costumes. That was pretty cool.
I will say that what was the song? The thank you song. Thank You, Good Day. What was it?
Oh, yeah.
Was this close for an Oscar nomination for a song? It was on the short list.
I know, that's too
bad.
And
I'm almost surprised it didn't make it out, because I do think that's the best song in the film. Like the most fun,
Yeah. I really like the songs and the choreography and just how like traditional musical it is.
Yeah.
It really feels like something from the 1950s, and I just really enjoy that. And so yeah, I had a real good time with it.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anne of Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
I'm at 14.
The Christmas waltz.
Yeah, love that. I have it higher. Very
Yeah, I
good.
just love Lacey Chabert and Will Kemp together. I just think they have such great chemistry. They work off each other so well. And I love this movie too because nobody has to give up on any dreams in this. It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's like she's not getting married anymore, but she's like, I'm still gonna go for these waltz lessons. And then of course, hot Will Kemp is there to teach me how to dance.
Yes.
And, I mean, come on, that's her reward
And the
for the
whimsy
struggle.
of that scene
Yeah.
when they're dancing down the street. I mean,
Oh, it's
that's
just so like very old school Hollywood musical, almost in a
yeah,
sense.
that like made 2020.
Totally. What a wonderful 2020 we had some great like COVID era Christmas movies that just made it tolerable,
Yeah, it's
because you were
true.
tired of being in your house and and you just see these whimsical stuff and I
Mhm.
love how they helped each other and how they fell in love and I loved it too because a lot of times with Hallmark somebody's got to give up something, usually the lady. And
Mhm.
nobody gives up anything. She gets her promotion, he gets a studio, they dance together and it's so cute and adorable.
Yeah. Well, my next one, my last one for this episode is Two Turtle Doves. Is where I have
Yes.
that. And I really do love this movie. I love their relationship, how it grows sort of organically. It has like the best almost kiss in Hallmark, when he actually explains and it's intentional and he says like, I want to kiss you. But these are the reasons why. And so that's really turns into like a really swoon-worthy moment. I mean, when the little girl says, I didn't know if I was allowed to be sad. Oh my
Oh, it's that is
gosh.
very touching.
Yeah.
That was the thing too. Nikki DeLoach, for a time she was doing marriage and crisis movies and dead grandma movies.
Yeah.
So
That's true. And her and Michael have such nice chemistry.
yes, they do.
They're lovely
It's
together.
hard.
I would
It's
love to see
kinda
them
hard.
again, maybe
Yeah.
in another
totally.
like more rom-com-y one. I mean, the Love to the Rescue or whatever it was, that one was more rom-com-y, but
Yeah. It's so hard to not have chemistry with Nikki DeLoach. I think she works so well with everybody.
yeah, and she always brings it. I mean,
Always
even in a
brings it.
movie
Yeah, I would
don't
love to
like,
see another
I still
pairing.
like her performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. So that's my last one for this episode. What do you have your last one?
I have Ghosts of Christmas Always.
Oh yeah. So
with
that's your
Kim Matula.
Spirited.
Yes, it is. It's my Spirited, right? As Kim Matula, and she's very good. She's always good.
Yeah.
Soap queen, or goddess, however you want to refer to it. And I just love how they play with the whole Dickens thing, that they're inspired by Dickens to do that. And like when she meets the guy, he goes, "Oh my gosh, is this a Christmas, a Christmas Carol?" Like they're so in on the joke, and they're trying so hard to help this guy, to get him back into Christmas and to give him that, that miracle in a sense. And you also get a flashback of what happened to her and how, her life when she was living before she became an angel, and that all the three angels, like it almost doesn't work, and that they've got to run to, to get everything done. I just found this very whimsical, very unique for Hallmark. I wish they would go a little bit more, out of bounds with this, and a lot of fun because they had fun with the premise. Yeah, they didn't take themselves too seriously, and they had fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. That was definitely on my short list.
Yeah.
So there we go. Make sure that you check out the Patreon for our bonus picks for this episode. We'd love for your insight for that episode. We'd love for your insight for those picks. And we'd love to know what you think about these 12 that we have picked and that we've talked about. Make sure you check out next week. We'll have part 2 of our top 12. So you definitely want to take a look at that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And Terry, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter with nonsense at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please take a look at that. We would sure appreciate it. And we also have the Patreon group, which can you have the bonus content and weekly exclusive reviews and be part of the watch along, which a number of these films we talked about, we've done watch alongs for with the talent. We did a watch along for Christmas Town. So a ton of these movies we've done watch alongs for. So please take a look at the Patreon. I think you'll find it's well worth your investment. And then we also have the merch store where we have tons of Christmas designs. So take a look at that as well as many others. And we will talk to you all later. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas. Bye.